and watch this again. So as you're playing the game of Monopoly and you're trying to save your way to freedom, you realize you begin to lose the game because you're landing on properties that represent cash flowing assets. Okay, so as you begin to continue to try to pass go and save more and more money, what happens is you end up losing the game. So what happens in that game? One person is developing cash flowing assets and starts winning, and the other person tries to save. So savers are losers. That's why Robert Kiyosaki always used to say that you cannot save money. Okay? So can you guys hear me okay? Am I froze up? Can you guys tell me if you can hear me right now? I just got a message saying that I froze up and you can't hear me. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. So I'm going to try to stay focused here, you guys. Bear with me. There's a little bit of distraction going on. So savers are losers. Kiyosaki would say savers are losers. You cannot save your way into wealth. So when you're looking for an exit strategy to no longer work for a living, it's very difficult to have some sort of an exit strategy without having cash flowing assets. So I'm going to go into a couple of things that I think are very important here. So what I want to say is we've been trained to make just enough money. I want you to listen to me now, okay? You guys will probably write this down too. We've been trained to save just enough money to support our families. We spend it on our needs, which stimulates the economy. Here we go. But those with financial education create assets that help that cash flow to find them, right? In other words, cash flow is gravitating to the person that has the greatest amount of financial education, okay? Network marketing, here it is. Listen to me, you guys. Viseo, network marketing interrupts that process with equal opportunity without income caps, okay? Very important for you to see that. I'm going to read it quickly one more time. We've been trained to make just enough money to support our families. We spend it on our needs, which stimulates the economy. Those with the strongest financial education create assets that help that cash flow to find them. Network marketing interrupts that process with equal opportunity without income caps. It's one of the many reasons for why we love Viseo. And one of the many reasons why we love this industry. Okay, so I want to point something out that I think is really significant. I've been doing a little bit of research here. I shared this in Minneapolis because when you look into the asset column, follow me now, you guys. When you look into the asset column, in that you have real estate properties to create cash flowing assets. You have commodities. You have mutual funds, stocks and bonds, and you have business. So let's just hit the first one. Let's just say that your first attempt is really saving money. You're saving money as an exit strategy. Well, look at this. This is significant. Maybe I'll write this down. Maybe I'll do this on this board right here. Okay? So, hold on one sec here. It's important that you guys see this. I know that most people are visually dominant. So because you are, like myself, I'm going to go ahead and write this out. So, if you were to retire at the age of 67 years old, how much money would you have to have in the bank to spend the rest of your life, maybe till you're about 90? That's where I stopped it in the retirement calculator. Okay, so in order to have $2,500 a month starting at 67 years old, that fixed income, right? You have to have this much put away. 1.7 million, right? To have $2,500 a month income finding you for retirement. 1.7 million. How many of you and how many people do you know have 1.7 million or on their way to having that much money in the bank? Okay? Now, this is what you need to have $3,700 a month for retirement. You got to have 2.5 million in the bank to retire and have $3,700 a month finding you. You're right, David, absolutely. Most people don't even have 10,000. But I want to go further because I'm really going to drive some points home here that are very valuable for you to understand. And when you're sitting there talking with people, remember, this is financial education. Yeah, we're building our Paseo business, but I want to give you all the details, every trade secret that I know, because I want you to truly have the revelation and the illumination of what to say to people and why, and have that really on the inside of you. So let's just say that you want to have $5,000 a month at retirement, right? So you retire at the age of 67. This is what you have to have in the bank. 4.4 million. 4.4 million to have $5,000 a month. Can you imagine that? I'm sorry, I put 4.5. It's 4.4. 4.4 million. I'm going to ask you some questions after this. I'm going to take it one step further. So basically, if you double this, 8.8 million in the bank to have $10,000 a month fixed income from 67 to 90. Okay? It's important for you guys to know those figures because you never know when you're going to need that. Okay? Now, that's saving your way. That is saving your way trying to be able to no longer work for a living. Okay? That's one way of doing it. But how in the world would you save that kind of money? As an employee, and they're taxing you at the highest level, and now we get into the quantity of income, and you guys know the stat. For an employee who's making $500,000 a year, the average savings that they are able to put away on an annual basis is $7,400 a year. That's because they're not making $500,000. They collect a W-2 and they're being taxed so heavily, they're being penalized so heavily that they probably make $275 or maybe $300. Right? So it's very difficult. So even if you had a job that was paying you $500,000 a year as an employee, how in the world would you retire with 8.8 million to make $10,000 a month at retirement, or 4.4 million to make $5,000 a month? Okay, so you start to see how difficult this can be. Again, we're talking about what we have in Paseo in building cash flowing assets. So that's one way of doing it. That's saving. Okay. So what if you want to do it with real estate? Okay. So maybe you're like, you know what? My exit strategy is to start buying real estate. So let's just say that you put $50,000 to $100,000 down on a single family resident, right? One greenhouse. Okay. One greenhouse. And you get that house to positive cash flow anywhere from $100 a month to $1,000 a month, passive income. So you put down $50,000 to $100,000 down on a house with hopes that you would make $100 to $1,000 a month passive income. All right. Good luck finding that. By the way, I had 4 houses and I barely had $1,000 passive income. So how long did it? Here's the question. If you did that, how long did it take for you to save that money to put it down on that one house? Now, let's just say on the high side, let's just say that you bought a single family resident and after all the debt service was paid and the mortgage was paid, your renter was paying $1,000 more than what you were paying, and you put $1,000 a month passive income in your pocket. If you want to make $5,000 a month, then you need 5 houses, putting $50,000 to $100,000 down. Okay? So how long would it take you to save that? And what would be your strategy to do that? Okay? So you're going through a lot of trouble. You're putting a lot of money down in order to have $500 to $5,000 a month passive income. 5 houses, $5,000 a month passive income. Okay? So that's real estate. All right? So that would be one way of doing it. I want to have throw a post note here or a teaching moment here. This is why, listen to me now, this is why so many people that have done that are saying yes to you in Viseo, because they know that they have worked a lot harder for a lot less. Okay? Remember, people like this, when you talk to people like Matt Williams, who owned a real estate brokerage, right? Sells his brokerage in order to do that. When you look at Eddie Hannigan, who has 2 mortgage companies, and he's on fire with Viseo because he sees what he can do with cash flowing assets. Why do people like that come running to building a business in Viseo and in Overcome Nation? Because they have experience in real business. And notice, those that always say no to you are those that have no experience in business. Okay? So I'm pointing this out. All right, so let's just say that paper assets, right? You have paper assets, which are stocks, bonds, mutual funds, right? Many times you sit down with a financial advisor, and they're not financially educated, they're financially trained, and they're trained to sell. That's why they tell you to invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, invest for the long term, and diversify. How many times have you heard that whenever you sat down with them? Okay? They say, what you're going to do is we're going to take your money, and you're going to invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, and you're going to invest for the long term, and you're going to diversify. And when they diversify, they don't mean diversify between like real estate and business and stocks and bonds. They mean diversify within all the paper assets, which to me is a gamble. That's why you don't see Kiyosaki talk too much about stocks and bonds. I don't like them, and here's why I don't like them, and this is why I don't like to work with their people. They get paid whether I make money or not. Okay, so how is it that they are going to be down for me? They don't only get paid when I win, they get paid when I lose. So either way, they're getting paid, and they've been trained to sell. They are not financially educated. You're getting financial education in Overcome Nation. Very, very different. So it's very important for you to know that. Let me give you another, use this as another teaching moment too. Go to your bank and ask them if you could borrow $100,000, and when they ask you what you want to invest it in, tell them that you want the $100,000 because you want to invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds because your financial advisor said you should do that. Guess what? They're going to laugh at you. They won't give you the money. So what do those bankers, what do those financially educated bankers know that our financial advisors don't know? What do they know that you don't know? It's not secure. It's a moving target, and it's a gamble. Now, if you were to go to your bank and ask them to borrow $100,000 on a home, on real property, they would fall over themselves to give you the money. Can you see the difference? One is more of a sure thing because it's real property and they have security to it, right? It's not your asset, it's their asset. Unless it's a rental property, then it becomes yours. But if it's a home that you live in, they know that it's secure. So they're not going to loan you money on paper assets. So you can look, that's a learning moment for each and every one of you guys when you see the difference in that. So that's why I don't like stocks and bonds, okay, and mutual funds and being diversified for the long term in that category. It's risky to me. Commodities. To me, commodities is a rich man's game, and you better have you better have the long dollar, because you want to talk about some big losses overnight. You could lose everything in an hour. Okay, so commodities, that's a game for the filthy, dirty, filthy rich. Okay, and those that don't really care if they lost $1 million or 3 million or 10 million in a day. Okay, so commodities are pretty much out. Now, business. Now, I want to point this out, because this is something I think that you should write down and you should repeat, because this is what's happening in Overcome Nation. So I want to point this out. Overcome Nation is here to help start businesses that cash flow with passive income, debt-free, with no employees, taxed at the lowest level, and global, that grows exponentially. Now, seriously, who would say no to that? All right, so I'm going to say it again. Overcome Nation is here to help you start businesses that cash flow with passive income, debt-free, with no employees, taxed at the lowest level, and global, and grows exponentially. Doesn't that sound so much better than the other categories that we talked about? Okay? Very powerful. All right. Now, so, let's go back over here. Just for the sake of teaching, I'm going to write down something that you've seen before, but I want you to get in the habit of pointing this out. Okay? What does it mean to no longer work for a living? This is what it looks like on paper. Now, your monthly debt is different for every single person, but let's just say that your monthly debt is $5,000. Okay? So these are your needs, right? $5,000 a month for you to live. So when you create a cash flowing asset that will offset that by $5,000, that $5,000 assets, these assets, meet that. Now you are zeroed out and you no longer work for a living. Okay? Now, this is freedom in your time. This is called working for wealth, because now you have time. Now, what I like is I don't want to just have 5,000 meet my 5,000. I want this number to continue to grow exponentially. 5,000 people go out and get one, right? What happens? Now you have 10,000, right? Because your income is growing exponentially with your people. Does that make sense, you guys? So now, maybe your bills are still $5,000 a month, but you're making $10,000. Your cash flowing assets are bringing in $10,000, right? Then if you want, you can take this other $5,000 if you want, if you're a saver, and you can kick back another $5,000 a month. Maybe you're putting that away every month so you can purchase a real estate property. Or you can invest in another cash flowing asset, because this number is growing exponentially. This is $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. Those go out and get one. Now you're at $20,000 a month. Guess what? I've never had one property ever pay me $20,000 a month that was once paying me $5,000 a month. You guys follow me? No property will do that. In other words, you will never ever purchase a property for $1,500 that positive cash flow, passive income, $500 a month, and then went to $10,000 a month, and then $50,000 a week. Not that one house. It will never do that. In other words, a 30-unit apartment complex that's paying you $5,000 a month will never pay you $100,000 a month on the same property. You have to buy multiple properties to get there. Can you see the bridge that I'm building here? Can you see? Are you following? I'm not even done yet, you guys. This is just the beginning stages of this. But I want you to understand what you have here through exponential growth, exponential cash flowing assets. So soon, this is not $20,000 a month anymore. This goes $20,000 a week. Right? That's 80 grand a month, you guys. That's $80,000 a month, because you are building a very professional cash flowing business. Okay? So if you have, let's just say this represents people, 20,000 people. That's like having 20,000 different locations across the country. Can you see why there's a reason for you to be fired up? Can you see why there's a reason for you to be passionate about this? What's your exit strategy? Do you have an exit strategy that's better than this? Again, I'm not even done yet, okay? So I want you guys to really, really understand this. And this is probably a good teaching moment for me to do this too. So when you look at you here, and you start mentoring one in the left, one in the right, and they go out and do the same, right? And you've multiplied yourself 6 times, right? Let's just say this was your one green house. That's a sad looking house, but you guys follow me, right? So that's your one green house right there. So you're going to spend time with that person. You're going to mentor that person because that house is multiplying and becoming 6 houses or 6 invisible franchises, right? Or 6 different locations. You can say it all 3 ways. In any way that you want. And guess what? This is not just working for money, it's working for wealth. And guess what? This is debt-free. No employees. No payroll. No shipping. Very little inventory. No warehouses. Leveraging a fulfillment center. What happens when these people do the same? My gosh, you guys, can you see how it starts growing exponentially? Again, I'm going to keep saying this. So what's your exit strategy? Can you show me? Can your friends show me that they have a better exit strategy than this? This is why I say, in Overcome Nation, we're teaching you how to build a big business, a global business, a debt-free business, a business without employees, taxed at the lowest percentage that grows exponentially. It's growing exponentially, and that's what you have to key in on. To do that debt-free is remarkable. I'm going to tell you, it's damn close to a miracle when it comes to building wealth. This is why don't ever let anybody tell you that network marketing is anything less than the greatest method of wealth creation on the planet. Okay? You've seen the other ways of building wealth. Which one, is it that hard? I mean, is it that hard to figure out which one is by far better than the rest? Very important, okay? So, now that we're looking at, and I got your attention when it comes to Viseo, building and learning with Overcome Nation as a business school, and building